Awesome. So this time a year ago, you were committed to USC, which was pretty big news in the lacrosse world, I feel like. Um, I even talked about you on our podcast. I was like, she's gonna have a great year. Can you describe the emotions you felt heading into that new opportunity after spending 4 years at UNC?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I was just so excited. Obviously, a little bit nervous. Just there's so much new about going to California and just embarking on that journey in the Pac-12. But I was just super excited. I felt like the quintessential senior at UNC. I felt like I'd seen and done everything that I set out to do, winning a national championship and only losing like one game going into my senior year, which is just incredible. Like the teams I was on were just like the dream team. So I think like I just felt like I had accomplished so much in my time at UNC and I was ready for something new. And as long as I can remember, LA had always been some place that I wanted to go. So I thought, what better way to get out there for a year, not have to commit to a job or anything crazy, but just to go see it and explore. And that's what life's about in this fifth year. So yeah, I just felt like it was a life decision that I wanted to take advantage of. Not as much about lacrosse, but just more for my personal life and growth.
Very cool. Well, was obviously we'll get to the injury, but overall was the year was it what you wanted it to be?
Yes, I absolutely loved LA. I mean, it was definitely far away, but I was able to see so much and experience so much that it just felt like it was the perfect amount of time just to see everything I wanted. And the team was so great. I still was around them a lot. So it was just a really good support system I had through everything. And they made my time there a lot better. So,
Very cool. So I've been to Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I've never been to LA, but I can imagine the two are quite different. How much of an adjustment was it going from Chapel Hill to Los Angeles?
for me, I think the other people that were my age post grad were all moving to cities, so I felt like it was almost like the natural progression for someone my age to go to a new city and see everything. It was so different. It was not a college town by any means. Like Chapel Hill is literally just lives and breathes UNC colors and the sports teams, and it's just such like a like close knit environment given how big the school is. Um, but yeah, LA could not have been more different, but I think that was what was fun about it is I got to experience something entirely new and like what better place to experience all that than LA. So yeah, it
For
was
sure.
great. Just very different.
Did you run into any celebrities while you were out there?
No, I swear I'm like a celebrity repellent. Like anytime I was away or like didn't go somewhere, like a celebrity would show up and my teammates would send pictures and I just like wouldn't be there for some reason. Like every single time. It was
Awesome.
crazy. Yeah.
Um, so moving ahead to a little bit of a sad part of the interview, about your injury. So can you explain what the injury was and how it happened?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are confused exactly what happened, but it's a long story. But it basically started out on the very first day of practice at USC. We were scrimmaging at the end of practice, and I just cut and didn't think anything of it. And then once I stepped down, it like felt a little weird, but I didn't go down or anything. Like it was nothing traumatic. Like I literally walked off the field and went over to the trainer. It was just like my foot kind of hurts on like the bottom and the top. And she was like, okay, got it checked out by the doctor. They said it was just a sprained Liz Frank ligament, which, if you know anything about feet, like Liz Frank ligament is like very important and not good to injure. So we were very careful about it. I was in a boot for like 2 months, had to sit out of practice, obviously. So I was sidelined basically the whole fall. I was really anxious to get back because it was my last fall ball. So we started progressing me but it was not getting any better. And I had 3 MRIs done, and the Liz Frank ligament looked intact, and everything looked fine. So we were a little bit confused. I kept playing or trying to play. Every time I played, I would tweak it a little bit more and go down. And they were just telling me that that was going to happen and that I would be really sore. And then finally did a pretty bad tweak of it going into Thanksgiving break. Went to a hospital in New York City to get it checked out, had one x-ray, and it showed that the Liz Frank ligament was no longer intact and that I had dislocated my first and second foot joint, which is not good. So they called it a Liz Frank tear, but it technically didn't like actually tear. It just like stretched out, and so it was no longer holding my foot together. So I didn't really have like a base of my foot. So that was in about November. I got surgery at the end of November, and now I am 8 months out. But yeah, so I never really got to play at USC. It literally happened the first day of practice. I maybe stepped into 4 practices, but each one ended in some sort of foot injury. So yeah, it was just very unfortunate.
Well, I'm sorry about that. That sucks. When did you know that you would miss the season? Was it before you had the surgery? Was it after, or was it like what kind of went on with that?
Yeah, so when I went to go see the New York City doctor, I really didn't expect the news that I received. I was able to still walk and run and everything. It just hurt. So I was just really confused at that point. And that's when he came into the room and said, "Did you think you were going to play this lacrosse season?" And I was like, "Yes, I did. I guess not anymore." And that's like kind of when I knew that this wouldn't be working out. He said I could try it, but I would probably completely tear it or tear something else if I continued to play. So I was kind of only left with that decision. I really didn't feel like playing a few games and just hurting myself even more. So yeah, it was
Sure.
definitely really tough news to receive at that point, just because I didn't really expect it at all.
For sure. And had you struggled with injuries before this, or
No, I've never been injured before this, knock on wood, but it was my first injury ever, so it was just a whole new world to me. So
for sure? So you mentioned like personally it was a great year for you. What was it like lacrosse wise, as it relates to USC? Because you said it's your first practice. I'm sure there was some like nerves and a lot of excitement, everything going into the first practice, and it's like everything ended before it began in a way. So can you like talk about it from like a lacrosse mindset, how that was for you?
yeah, it was really hard in the fall just because I just felt like every day I was sidelined was just like my final year. I was just losing time playing the game that I love. And I mean, once lacrosse is over, like it's pretty over after college. Like obviously there's AU and that's a great opportunity, but it's only 5 weeks out of the year. And so I think that was just really hard for me to think about as I was just sitting there watching my teammates and not getting any better. I think I just felt like I slowly just had this feeling that it wasn't going to work out even in the fall, just by the pain I was in and everything like that. And I think the girls were so nice and so supportive of me, even though and were trying to include me so much in all the lacrosse stuff. Like I would help the goalies out and run some drills, and they kind of looked up to me as like kind of like a sideline coach, which was really cool. And so they definitely helped me through that in the fall. But I ultimately had to step away from the team because it was just too much mentally being there and never being able to practice or play with this team. Especially being in the Pac-12, not like having to travel so far, and I was still very much on crutches and couldn't really walk for about 4 months. So it was just turning into a lot really quickly. So
For sure. So how long you were on crutches for 4 months?
pretty much, I was 6 weeks like fully non-weight bearing at all, and then slowly progressed out of the crutches. So I would do like one crutch, and then I would go half the day with the crutch, and it was pretty much 4 months, like barely like not able to travel or walk very far at all. So
Do you remember the exact day you got done with the crutches?
I don't, because I was like going in and out of them. Like there wasn't like I don't remember like the exact day, but I was limping a lot that day. That's all I know.
Awesome. When do you know like the timeline, like when you got out of the crutches?
I think maybe let's see.
Was it January?
I think it might have been closer to like mid-February.
Okay.
Yeah, surgery was end of November, so
Okay.
yeah, I came to school at USC. I just got cleared to put some weight on my foot at that point.
Okay.
That was January, so
Awesome.
yeah, it's maybe February.
Um, so you kind of touched on this just briefly that you stepped away from the team. What was it like um with the lacrosse season going on? Because obviously your family is like all about lacrosse. And both your sisters were at UNC. Um, what was it like? Can you talk about the emotions you felt missing the season? And especially it was your first time in who knows how long where you weren't even around a team during the season. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it was. it was really tough. It was not an easy decision by any means. It was really hard, but just like being injured as a fifth year transfer is something I don't wish on my worst enemy. Like it's just really hard, and you don't really understand it until you go through it. And I think it just got to a point where like my mental state was way more important than any lacrosse entity, and my family was totally supportive of that. Like were encouraging me to do what was best for me. But yeah, it was so great to just watch Ashley this year, and just I watched so much lacrosse, and I honestly learned so much. Just I literally would just watch all day long, to the point where USC teammates were like, "You watch a lot of lacrosse." I'm like, I swear it's just because I'm out right now. Like this is insane, like how much I'm watching. But yeah, it was definitely a different perspective, but um, I was oddly at peace with it, just because it was definitely the right decision for me. And I still lived in the house with the USC lacrosse girls, so they were really great about including me in everything and just always being around. So I still got to hang out with them and get to know them. So I wasn't completely isolated, but yeah, it was definitely a really hard decision. Not easy by any means, but I think it was definitely the right one.
Awesome. Do you think that that experience would have been any different had you stayed at UNC for your fifth year and gotten injured because you knew all the players, you had been there for so long, you were comfortable there? Do you think that would have made it a little easier, or
Um, I think it's just such a different um, like scenario that like I can't even speak on it. I think at that point in my career at UNC, I just was really looking to do something else and to move forward and do a new, like, have a new experience. And so I think, yeah, I'm not really sure how I would have reacted. Like, I'm sure it would have been easier. I would have been closer to home and with my sisters, but I think any injury as a fifth year is really tough, regardless of the other factors. So,
for sure? Um, let's see. How how did it feel seeing both of your sisters play at UNC last year while you were sidelined?
um, well, Chloe didn't end up playing, so that was an
Yes.
interesting, um, a- interesting situation. But um, when I left UNC, I didn't know that Ashley was going to be playing there. She was still like trying to figure out logistics and like how that would even work. That wasn't like a huge factor for me, but that also was something. Like I didn't know she was actually going to be there for that season. So, um, but I was just so happy to see them experience everything that I had experienced. Like it was really funny seeing how they viewed everything like that I had been talking about for years, and just like the experience and just like the culture of UNC and how amazing it is. Just having them experience it was really cool to watch, and I was just super excited for them both. I wish they both could have played last year, but that will make this year even more special for Chloe and I.
For sure. And hey, Chloe got a season on the bench mob, so that's a
Yeah,
special experience right there. Okay.
she's got some good sellies in her pocket, so well
Hopefully,
equipped.
hopefully we won't see the boot anytime soon. But
Yeah, no more boots.
let's see. So you're coming back for your sixth year, which is, I mean, before COVID, 6 years would have been unheard of. And so, like, I feel like they've kind of peaked and now they're like dropping off again because the extra year has gone away. So you're like one of the last ones. How does it feel to be a sixth year lacrosse player in college?
It's so crazy. I literally never thought that this would happen to me, but as anyone that's injured knows, like the second you get injured, all you want to do is just play again. And just because I didn't play any of the fall or any of the spring, like I just felt like I had missed so much lacrosse that I could have been playing. And I think if my two sisters weren't still in the game, I would have just hung up the cleats. But like, what an incredible opportunity that they're at the same university, both having another year, and in a place that I love. It just seemed like such an easy decision to make at that point, and it almost felt like my injury was like meant to happen, which made me feel a lot better just going through my rehab and everything like that. Like just having that in mind and knowing that I was going to play again. I think it would have been really difficult if I had gone through all this PT and rehab just not ever looking to play again. So it's really helped me just mentally and physically get back to where I want to be, and I think it'll just be such an incredible like once in a lifetime experience. So even though I'm old, it'll still be fun. I'll just be like the literal grandma of the entire NCAA, but it's okay.
Hey, Izzy Skane just graduated, and then as far as UNC
Yeah.
goes, Caitlin Wurzberger is gone, so they got to replace it somehow. Okay, so
Yeah, seriously.
no offense, Caitlin Wurzberger, you had a great career. Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about the idea of playing with your sisters was pretty inspiring and impacted your decision. Um, with that being said, was it UNC or nothing basically for your sixth
Yes.
year? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. I would not be able to call any other program home. I mean, I didn't just go to UNC for 4 years for nothing. Like, it's such a special place, and just like such an incredible opportunity. Like, my sisters and I never thought that we'd ever be able to all play together. Like, we've literally never played with each other besides in the backyard. So this will be the first time we've ever been on the same field together, which is just so insane. But yeah, it just felt like I would never go anywhere else.
Okay. Awesome. There's not going to be any arguments during practice between the Humphrey sisters, correct?
There definitely will be, but one of us is
Awesome.
gonna have to step in and stop it.
Awesome. Um, Also, very important question. Will you or will you not be getting your number back from Chloe?
I will be. I'll be number 9
Oh,
again, and she'll be number 2 this year, which is her favorite number. So
nice.
it's
Okay.
honestly working out really well. It was really nice. Marie texted me and asked, so I wanted to be number 9 again, and that like meant a lot to me. So
Very
I'm very
cool.
excited about that.
Who was number two last year?
Bailey Horn, she's in my grade.
Okay.
She's a 5th year. So
Okay.
yeah, Chloe was just keeping 9 until she graduated, so
Okay.
it worked out.
Very cool. She was just keeping it warm for you.
Yeah, seriously, that's what we said. We're like, this is crazy, but okay.
Awesome. Let's see. Um, so how's your health today? How are you 100%? Where are you at?
Yes, I'm 8.5 months out now, so I just started running full body weight, which is super exciting. That like obviously like footwork and everything like that is going to be the last thing to come just because it's my foot, but I've done some slow motion footwork, which is exciting, and just slowly getting that back. I'm still in some pain. This injury is very painful and will be painful for up to a year and a half, they said. I have 5 screws in my foot. I don't think I said that, but
Yeesh.
there's just a lot going on. So it's definitely a slower recovery than most injuries, especially because it is the foot, and feet injuries are just really hard to heal. But I'm doing really well, and I've just been working on all the other things that I can control, like my sick work and my shooting. And I think this is like the hardest I've ever worked, I think ever. I'm just so excited to get back out there. So I've been able to do the other stuff that doesn't include running and everything like that, but we're almost there.
That's exciting. Very cool.
Yes.
Um, So you mentioned that you and your sisters have never all played together. What have the conversations been like, not just between the three of you, but your parents as well? Because obviously, if you had played last year, it would have been pretty difficult for them to split their time. And now they just get to go to one place, easy travel schedule. Okay, so what
Yeah.
have those conversations been like within the family about we all get to play together next year?
Yeah, I mean, it's such an exciting time for my family. Like, my parents could not be more happy or proud just to have all of us in one place. Even just without lacrosse, like, just so nice for all of us to have this experience together and being able to experience college together. Like, that's really something very special that not a lot of people can do. And I think we realize how lucky we are, and we're just so grateful for all of the crazy bumps that have come along this way to like all have the stars align for us to play. And so I think we're just really coming from a place of gratitude and excitement, and I think it's going to be really fun. We talk about all the different plays we can do together, and we like go on the turf and act out little plays to make. So I think it's just a really cool place to be right now.
Awesome. Yeah, y'all are gonna get some amazing photos, and I guarantee you the parents are gonna be framing them all over the house.
Oh yeah, my mom's already talking about her gear and how she needs to have like 3 numbers on like her shirts and her hats. Like,
Awesome. I believe y'all have a brother, correct?
yes, we do. He's a younger brother.
Hopefully he does not get jealous of all the love that y'all are gonna get on the family
I
walls,
know.
okay?
Yeah, he's used to it.
Awesome. Um, so going back to UNC, what was that like when you reached back out to the coaching staff saying I want to return? Because obviously you had transferred the year before, and that's like usually people don't go back to the school they were just at. So what was that? Were you nervous about reaching out to them, and how did they react to that?
Not really. I think I left obviously on very great terms. Like I have nothing bad to say about UNC by any means. It was solely like a life decision that I made for myself, and the coaching staff knew that and were very supportive of me when I did make that decision.
Very cool. So did they contact you about coming back first, or did you contact them?
No, yeah, I entered the portal and then started those conversations with them. But I didn't know right away if I wanted to take a 6 year. Like that wasn't really where my mind was at that point. I was just really focused on next steps, immediate next steps, and the way that I was going to recover just from my surgery and everything like that. So it really wasn't an automatic decision. Like obviously it was easy just to throw that idea around, but I didn't really commit to it until I think like February, March. That was the time. Yeah.
Awesome. So just a few more questions. Um, Lacrosse wise, UNC is, I don't know if they're a very different team than when you left. They obviously had a little bit of a down year for their standards this past
Mm.
season. Um, what are your expectations for the team? Because obviously you've won a national championship there. Last year they didn't really get close to that. They had a lot of injuries. Even though Scotty Rose Brownie's like, we don't make excuses, which is totally fair.
Yeah.
What's it? What is that going to be like going back to a team with a lot of different faces and not all the same ones that you were used to when you were there?
Yeah, I think it'll be great, and I really think that everyone coming back from their injuries will add like another level of intensity and excitement around lacrosse. Like I know personally, I'm just so excited to get back on the field, and I know Chloe feels that way, and I know Kaylee Harden feels that way, and I'm sure all the others feel that way as well. Like it's just such an interesting dynamic having so many people coming back from injury. Like you're literally just defying all burnout odds there. Like you're just setting yourself up for a really good time, and so I think this team is really special already, and just seeing the younger girls that were freshmen and sophomores when I was a senior, like step up and be leaders is really cool.
Awesome. And then kind of looking ahead, how do you think you're going to feel when you put on the practice jersey, the practice penny for the first time, and you're donning the famous Carolina blue yet again?
Yeah, I think it'll just be such a great moment for me. It's been such a long time coming since I've played again, and I'm just every time I'm at PT or rehab, I just think about that moment. So yeah, I'm just super excited for that, and hopefully it'll be relatively soon.
Awesome, very cool. When do y'all return for classes?
First day of class is August 19th, so pretty soon. But yeah, I still have a little bit to go, but hopefully it'll be cleared soon.
Awesome. So I believe again, going back to your LinkedIn, I believe you're getting your second master's degree. Is that correct?
Yes, I am. So I did
Yes.
graduate from USC. It was a 1 year program. It was an incredible program too. I learned so much. I could not recommend it enough at USC. Um, and yeah, then I'm going to do another master's with my sister Ashley. So we'll be in a lot of the same classes, which will be funny. But
Very
yes,
cool.
getting a second master's. Hopefully, you'll be graduating in May. It's a 1.5 year program. I'm squeezing into 1 year, so
Okay.
it's going to be a lot, but it'll be good.
Hey, if it's your second master's, I'm sure you could squeeze it into six
Yeah,
months. You got this, okay?
yeah. My gosh.
What do you want to do after you graduate? What's the future look like after 6 years?
Yeah. I definitely want to live in New York City. Hoping to go into a marketing position in some form. TBD on what kind of company I like to do marketing for, but hopefully a good one. So yeah, that's all I know at the moment.
Very cool. New York City. It seems like everyone goes to New York City, especially from UNC. I Scotty said Caitlin Wurzberger's going there. Like
Yes.
it's like everyone's going to New York City. So, anyways, you'll have a
Yeah.
lot of lacrosse connections, so that'll be cool.
Yes. A lot of good UNC girls there. So
Awesome. And then last question, what did you learn about yourself over the past year?
yeah, I learned so much. I told so many people this, but this past year was definitely the most formative year that I've had. I think I kind of went through that like post grad identity crisis that everyone goes through when they're done with lacrosse. Like I definitely totally felt that when not being a part of a lacrosse team for a year. And I think it was just a really good time for me to get to know myself outside of lacrosse and not be identified as just a lacrosse player. Like no one at USC knew me for lacrosse. And I think it was really cool just to find like my other passions and get to do that in LA where the opportunities are literally endless there. Like I just had so many cool outlets and different experiences I could have this past year. And I think it was just a really good time to spend by myself and definitely a lot of reflecting, but what better place to be going through all that than in Los Angeles? So it was just a really, really good year, I think, for me personally, despite everything else.
Very cool. Can you touch on those passions real quick? Like, what were the new passions that you found? How did you spend your free time?
Yeah, I would find all these really cool, like niche food spots in LA that were so popular. Like LA is known for having like really fun and cool food spots. So I would go on little journeys to go find them and like go try them out. Sometimes I would bring a friend, but yeah, that was really fun. And then the thrifting in LA is unlike anything else I've ever experienced. It is just so cool, and I think everyone on the USC team has such great fashion that it was just really cool to learn more about my own style and thrifting for really cool, unique things. It was like a really fun experience I never had done before. So, yeah, those are just two I can think of on top of my head. But others include like journaling on the beach. Nothing can beat that. It was just such a fun thing to do. Good for me while I was immobile.
Very cool. So you've returned back east with a greater sense of fashion. Very
Yes,
important.
hopefully.
Very important.
Hopefully.
Awesome. Very cool. Not that I was criticizing your fashion beforehand, because I have no clue what your fashion style is. Not that I can talk. I wear sweatpants almost every day. So, anyways, is there anything else you would like to add? Is there anything that we might have missed or that you'd like to touch on in greater detail?
I don't think so. Just thank you so much for having me. I feel like everyone was just very confused about my current state, and I'm just really happy to have a platform to talk about it just because so much happened. But yeah,
For
I just
sure.
really